Hey guys, I want to go over a video on how to do intervals, properly. So HIIT is really big. High intensity exercise is really good, big, but people really hack it up a lot. And so I want to kind of explain how to properly do it. Stop doing these mistakes so you use intervals properly to get in really good shape and lose fat. With that being said, if you are someone who is under a lot of stress, if that's family stress, work stress, especially if you're not sleeping, intervals is probably not the best method of conditioning or cardio for you. You're much better at doing low intensity exercises like walking and stuff that just kind of gives you a moderate like heart rate boost. You know, your heart rate's at like 130, 150, and just do that for 20 to like 60 minutes. You'll get way more out of that than doing intervals. Intervals tend to kind of backfire for people like that. But anyways, so before I go into the mistakes here, what we have to understand, and this is something people really get wrong, is understand the difference between intensity and effort. High intensity and high effort can be very different. High intensity has more to do with if something's high intensity, it's closer to your max output or your max strength. So the most effort you can do. So a really intense set of squats, say a 5, those 5 reps are very close to the max, the max weight you can lift for 5 reps. Okay, so basically the max force you can produce. Versus something like running a marathon is low intensity, and for that, when I say stuff like that, people kind of get pissed off. I'm not talking bad about that, but it's low intensity, but it's high effort, right? Running a marathon takes a lot of effort. It's not easy. I certainly can't do it like right now. I'm sure I can train for it. But what you're doing, you're not giving that intense effort, all right? Because in order to run for 26 miles, you have to give a low intense effort so you can make it. And so if you try to run at high intensity, you wouldn't make the 26 miles. The reason why this is important, because this is what high intensity intervals it's built on. It's built on producing as much force as you can in a short period of time, and then allowing your body to completely recover somewhat, so you can keep giving that intense effort, because that intense effort jacks your heart rate really high. And then what that does is your body has to work really hard to bring it down and recover after the interval session, and that's what oxidizes more belly fat. That's what burns fat. Now, if you can't do those two, if you're not doing those two things, it's not nearly as going to be as effective. It kind of just turns into a moderate intensity intervals instead of high intensity. So a good example of this is if you do something all up for 30 seconds, and doing anything all up for 30 seconds is really hard. And to tell you the truth, I don't think most people can do that. And then if you rest for 30 seconds, but you haven't really recovered well, so when you try to give that hard effort again, you just can't. You might still be working hard, and again, you're still giving a high effort, but you're not giving a high intensity because your body actually needs more recovery than that. So hopefully that doesn't confuse people and make sense. But again, you don't get the same benefits. So if you do intervals like that, so say you're going 30-30s, and what happens often here is you're not recovering. So the first 3 sets are really intense, but the next like 6 or 8 are like mediocre or low intensity, or maybe you don't even make it through the 30 seconds. So again, you want to get in like 2 sets of actually high intensity intervals, and the other ones are moderate intensity and low intensity. And again, intervals work very well because of the maximum effort and the rest that allows you to give that maximum effort each time. So if you can't do that, so if you're not doing that, it's not going to be as effective. Now, a lot of times people start with those intervals like 30-30s or 40-20s, and you can work your way up to that. But the best thing to do is start with a short work time and a long rest time. And then as you do this, your body will become more efficient. You'll be able to produce that high intensity effort easier each time, and you'll be able to recover faster. So you might start with 10 seconds on and 50 seconds off, but as you get in better shape, you could progress that to maybe 15 seconds on and 45 seconds off, or maybe 20 seconds on and like 60 seconds off. But again, make sure you're not doing that properly, because a lot of times you're just wasting your time. So the few things I wanted you guys to get out of this video is know the difference between high intensity and high effort. Also point the fact that intervals aren't for everyone, and they can be counterproductive for certain people. And then to make sure you do them properly, so you get the results. Because all the research that are done at intervals, they're done in that very intense manner. Which is sometimes when you look at studies, you have to look at like who did they do these studies on. So a lot of studies are done on athletes or younger people. These people are probably better apt to be able to go all out, because maybe their muscle mass, their freshness, because they're probably getting good sleep and good nutrition, and maybe some studies probably wouldn't have the same results if they did it on really busy, stressed out dads or really busy, stressed out moms. So again, just another thing to think about. So if you do intervals, make sure you do them properly.